I'm Kathy Hill with Celebrating Home. I'm a senior executive in Florida, and this is my third Rock Your Beanpot video. I'm just loving doing this and sharing all this great stuff with you. I've been cooking for years and exchanging recipes since I was preteen, that was a long time ago. In my last two segments, I was at my North Carolina home, which just shows you I don't go anywhere without my bean pots. Today, I've got several things to share with you, including a special recipe from my friend Joyce, who lives up in North Carolina. But I'm going to start with our Alpine Lodge bean pot. Oh my gosh, if you haven't seen it, you've got to get to your designer. If you're watching this, hopefully I'm your personal designer, and see this wonderful bean pot. The detail on it is just exquisite. And you know, our bean pots aren't just for cooking. They're also highly decorative and make wonderful centerpieces. So I'm going to take just a quick moment and make a centerpiece with this Alpine bean pot. Now, in our fall catalog, we have some items that are on new lower prices. And I'm going to use two of those to make a very inexpensive centerpiece. The first is our mixed fern, and you can see that I have turned the stem, bent it a little bit so that the fern will sit very nicely inside the bean pot. In addition, our everyday set of nosegay also is at a new lower price. And so I'm simply going to tuck these, one of them escaped, tuck these three nosegay into my bean pot to add a little color, and voila, in 2 seconds I have a very nice arrangement. This will look great on my table, and when I want to use my bean pot, all I have to do is take those items out. The next thing I'd like to show you is my favorite bean pot. That's our veranda. I love it because of the size and also because it's so versatile, and with the off-white it will go with anything. Now again, I'm going to do a little centerpiece, and one of the things I like about the veranda is that the lid tucks quite neatly inside. So earlier today, I took a piece of styrofoam, I pushed out a little section for the top of the lid where the handle is, and I'm simply going to put this inside, and it'll be nice and level. I'm going to take a second piece of styrofoam and set that on top. Again, it's level, and it comes just to the top of the bean pot. I'm going to take this really cute purple napkin, and I'm going to tuck it in all around to add that little bit of color and texture for the fall season. And then our great fall glitter swag. Now I've made him sort of into a shape of someone sitting in a chair, and I've taken one of the stems on the back and loosened it just a little bit so I can stick that into my styrofoam. As you can see, it drapes down in front and stands up nicely in a little asymmetrical arrangement. Then I'm taking our beautiful Reverend Indian couple, and they're going to sit very nicely on the flat piece of styrofoam that's on the top. Again, this is a gorgeous centerpiece for your table. So I'm going to move that right over here. Now, I want to share with you Joyce's recipe. As I said, I've been exchanging recipes a long time, and I love this one because it's so simple. I've been invited to a baby shower, and so I called the hostess and asked if I could help with some of the food. Told her I had a great marinated vegetable salad, and would she mind if I brought it. This allows me to share a great recipe, help out the hostess, and it won't hurt to show my bean pot, and I'll get lots of comments on both. Now earlier today I made one batch of this salad. It's already in here, so I'm just going to turn that on its side a little bit so you can see. But since this is a really huge shower, I'm going to walk you through making the second batch. We're going to start with the marinade, and the marinade is quite simple. It's just 4 ingredients. A half a teaspoon of pepper, a half a cup of oil, I use olive oil, 3/4 of a cup of white vinegar and a cup of sugar. I put them all either in my Pyrex cup or in my Beanpot, and I microwave them to come to a boil. That helps the sugar dissolve. I'm going to give that a little mix, just to mix those back up. And I'm going to dump that in my Beanpot. Then I've got 3 cans of vegetables, French-style green beans, drained, early peas, drained, and white corn, drained. Again, I'm going to mix that all up. And the next ingredients, you pretty much determine how much you're going to add based on your personal taste. In this bowl, I've chopped up a 1/2 cup of onion, green pepper, and celery each, or you could go all the way up to a cup, depending on what your personal tastes are. In addition, I've got a 2-ounce jar of diced pimentos. Now, I will tell you that making a double batch of this absolutely fills my Beanpot right to the rim. So all I have to do now is put the lid on it, stick it in my refrigerator, and then tomorrow when I'm ready, I'm going to pull it out, put it in my Beanpot carrier, and take it to the shower. Remember, the Beanpot has thermal qualities, so it'll stay cold 2 to 3 hours. It's marinated very nicely in here. And again, I'd like to thank Joyce for sharing such a great recipe with me. Now, the last thing I want to share with you is a little bit about the Beanpot carrier itself. You know, this is just such a gem. I wouldn't have a Beanpot without one of these. I want you to know when you're cooking, when your hot recipe comes out of the oven, just take your Beanpot, put it right in here, and carry it to the stove. You don't need a liner. But if you are not using it for a Beanpot recipe and you want to use it for something else, I often use the basket either for fruit or simply to put muffins or rolls in there. When I do that, I like to include a little basket liner. I have a pretty good sized kitchen towel here. I've placed one section, folded it over so I have a square, and the first thing I'm going to do is fold in all 4 corners to make it a square. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do that again. And it doesn't have to be extremely neat. I'm going to pick it up, holding the top and the bottom, and place it in the Beanpot carrier. And then I'm going to reach in, and I am going to pull up the corners so they look like little flower petals. It's just something a little extra so that people say, "Oh, isn't that cute?" You know, when you're doing your decorating. So here that is. Now, I've shown you lots of cute things today. I know that went real quick. You may not have seen it. I can always send you the directions. I just love working with this, and I love working with my friends and customers. Now, I'd love to get some feedback from you on these videos so that I can do more. Share your favorite recipes with me. Tell me what you've tried that you liked. If I choose your Beanpot recipe for my next video, you'll be rewarded either my own Beanpot pincher pot holders or possibly one of our wonderful Meals and Memories cookbooks. But you'll be rewarded. You can star in it if you want, or assist me, whatever you're more comfortable with, or maybe I'll just use your recipe if you're camera shy. But I hope to hear from you soon. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks.